What's up, SEO pros? Welcome back. Today we're doing a live Q&A. So I'm just going to put this link into a couple different channels and then we'll get started. Put it on our Facebook group, which if you're not in the Facebook group, make sure you head over here and join it. Called the White Hat SEO Network. If you've been needing help with SEO and want to ask questions on my live stream, now is your chance. Stop on by. See if Steve's around too. Adrian Bird says, yo, your hair looks great. Thanks, dude. I actually ran out of my regular hair gel. This hair gel is like a colored hair gel, apparently. It's like a gray. Makes it look kind of cool, I guess. We'll get started pretty soon here. I'll start putting together the questions. See if I can put this out on Twitter too. Gotta get my password. I got 6 people in the chat. We'll get going pretty soon here, guys. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Got my Twitter. I always forget my Twitter. Apparently that's not gonna work. Oh, it looks like it got changed. Guess it's not working. Oh, maybe I changed it. I might have changed it. Whatever. We don't need to put it out on Twitter. It's all good. Paul Leary's in the chat. What's up, Paul? He says, my client asked me why are we not getting more clicks on our AdSense even though our traffic has doubled in the last few months. Sounds fishy to me, Paul. I don't really work a lot with AdSense. The only AdSense I use is on my channel, so I probably wouldn't know. I mean, other than the conversion rate going down, really. Meaning, like, the click would be a conversion. Maybe it's your affiliates that are putting out bad stuff now. Sounds really weird. But again, I haven't worked too much with AdSense, so I'm not too sure what would be happening there. Okay. So let me get the list of questions that we have. Steve, dude, is that your music, or are you working from the senior center today? Dude, when I get up in the morning, I have to have like a little bit of like sort of zen going on. Short and sweet. Can you always... let me try to round up the questions. Got one here. Is there a way you can highlight these pages? I think there's a highlighter Chrome extension I can just get, so I don't have to put this on Notepad. Highlighter Chrome extension. Steve must be playing like some freaking dubstep right now. All right, I think this is a good one. So if I just press this. Oh, I think if I just go like this, it'll do it automatically maybe. Or maybe I do a right click. Super simple highlighter. Orange. Cool. So we got that one. Let's get like 5 total, then we'll start answering. And by the way, if any questions you guys have in the comments, feel free to ask. Queen, actually. Steve, did you say you were jumping on, or I couldn't really figure out what toggle meant? Another question on how would you drive traffic to Facebook group with ads? Cool. Want to see my competitors' backlinks? Thank you. Now we have some incense going too. Okay, that's 4. How to load the pages instantly without reducing page speed. I'm asking my lead SEO to do that for me. He's pretty busy. Question about AMP. Question about rank and rent, I believe. Okay, what's your... Can you message me your Skype, Steve? Or do you have Discord? Discord would work even better. And send you my Discord channel. Okay. I got a Skype. By the way, if you guys aren't in the Discord channel, I really recommend you get in there. I'll put the link in chat. It's basically like the Facebook group, but it's like live, and you can ask questions in there. And I'm always in Discord. Just made a link, and I'll put it in chat. All right, let's call Steve.
Yo, how you doing?
Yo, what's good, dude?
How do we get the old camera working here? Let's see.
It's gonna be hard to put you in there anyways, but if you want to put your camera on, you can. There's Steve, everybody. Just in case you were wondering who Steve is.
I used to be relevant. Now I'm just a nerd.
So, we got some questions today, Steve, and it's cool to get you on here now. It would be probably a good idea for me to just tell you when I'm going to do these, but normally I just kind of do it whenever I feel like it.
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to help.
So everybody say hi to Steve in the chat. Francis says hi. Dwell says hi. So we have some questions already, and basically how I do this is I just record when we start the question, and then when we're done with the question, I stop recording, and then I just basically have those queued out throughout the week. So you'll probably be in like probably around 10 to 20 videos by the end of this.
Be famous.
You're already famous. All right, so let's get into it. So the first question is from Alex Herrera. He says, thanks for sharing this video. Very good. I got a question. I have read in multiple places that Facebook does not like where people use their platform to generate business outside Facebook. For example, I know a person with a big group in Facebook that used to promote his online courses, and at some point his invitations were no longer sent to a couple of his members. So he lost his business and had to start all over outside Facebook. Can you show it? Are the difficulties of using Facebook to funnel viewers outside the platform to your product? Thanks.
You want to start?
Well, I'll just say really quickly that for me, Facebook has always been one of my most profitable channels to funnel people to my product. But I don't know if that's because of the niche I'm in or what. In terms of the question, I had kind of a hard time understanding it. He said, Facebook does not like where people use a platform to generate business outside of Facebook. I would argue that that's not true in a sense, because from what I've seen, Facebook wants you to promote and spend as much money on their platform as possible to generate business. So I don't really know why. It's kind of a weird question for me. What do you think, Steve?
If we're talking about EdgeRank, we're looking at Facebook search algo and their feed and how they display things. I know they're getting better and better and better at it, but they've always made a big point to try to keep people on their platform. That's why there's a Facebook browser. From an organic standpoint, their goal is to drive as much traffic and subscriber base to the platform itself and not take people away. But I agree. I think when you're doing paid advertising, they don't really care where you send the traffic as long as you're paying for it. But from an SEO standpoint, as you're optimizing for Facebook, it's always better to keep people on Facebook. There's a trust factor. There's app, right? When you think about how people use the app versus a web browser, obviously there's ways that you can break out of the web browser when you set up your Facebook app. If there's an external link, you can have it go to Chrome or Safari or whatever you want. So I would say, in understanding EdgeRank a bit, if you want to just study it, just do a Google search for Facebook EdgeRank. I would try to keep people on the platform, not just because of the visibility point, but because of the sort of the user safety. If you can do some instance pages and some things that allow people to see and interact with your content on the platform, they've got tools to allow you to let people purchase and buy. One of our clients is a restaurant franchise, and you can order right from their Facebook page. So I would say when you're on a platform, try to keep them on the platform if that platform allows you to do all the same things that your website does. And I know you want to track everything in one view, and it gets frustrating because you want to see everything in your Google Analytics. But if you can tie in some APIs and create some custom reports from the different places that you're advertising, from Google My Business, Facebook, and other places, into one dashboard, you can get that aggregate data, and it's perfectly acceptable. In fact, conversion rates are higher, in Yelp and in Facebook when you keep them, on the platform, just at least from our experience. Not that answers your question, but kind of broke out organic and paid a little bit differently.
Yeah, and I'd also say that, like, when I've seen personally from my own experiments, like me posting a native video on Facebook versus like linking out to an external source, Facebook obviously is going to prefer. I mean, that's why they do autoplay on the videos, because they prefer that you post to their platform directly rather than being like linking out to outside sources. So if you can sell products within Facebook, you're probably going to do better. But at the same time, I mean, there's tons of people on Facebook who are doing a video natively and then taking that and then linking to some sort of ClickFunnels page or something and still killing it. So I just kind of, I think it depends on sort of what you're going for. But in terms of losing your business altogether and how that happened to that person, I think maybe something else happened there besides just like linking out from Facebook in a sense.
Test everything, right? Try
Yeah.
everything, test everything, see what performs. I wouldn't
Right.
just say we're going to do this or this. I would say we're going to do all the things, and then we're going to measure what works, and then taper our campaigns based on what seems to be working the best. Just like we do an annual campaign for an attorney who does, this $1 million spend every year on his Super Bowl ads, and every year we get better because we look back at previous year's results and we refine the demographics and the targeting and the audiences and the topics and all the different attributes that go into it. Same thing in Facebook. I think you'll find out by looking at your data, kind of what's working, what's not, and then just start putting less budget and less time into things that aren't yielding the results you want. And same thing on Facebook, put more time and energy into that.
Right. Cool. I'm going to close that one out. I think we answered it pretty well. All right. By the way, welcome to the 19 people who are in here. Thank you guys all for stopping by. If you guys aren't familiar with Steve, Steve is basically where I would be if I kept working on SEO for like another 20 years. So he's way ahead of the curve. He's really advanced in terms of PPC, SEO. He's got huge clients. So you guys are in for a treat today. So if you have any questions, make sure you ask while we have him on. This is the first time I've ever had him on this channel. So just want to say thanks for that, Steve.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right. So we got another, got another question. Today's question is for DRFR4G. And he says, Chase, thanks for the video. Quick question. In your video, 2018 local SEO guide, at 48 minutes into the video, you said you talk all about optimizing Google My Business pages. You provided 2 bullet points, rank with an address and rank as a service area, but I can't seem to find where you discuss ranking as a service. I've gone back through the video as well as I read through a written guide you posted, and I can't seem to find an area where you specifically talk about this. Maybe this would be a great topic for another video. Thanks for all you do. Also, I subscribe. So this is a huge question that people ask me all the time, Steve. They always say, how do I rank if I don't have a actual business address on the map? Because everybody wants to be able to rank with like a service area because they have like a home address or they want to do some sort of rank and rent, whatever. I mean, I don't know what they want to do, but this is a huge question. Do you have any tips when it comes to ranking as a service area?
Sure. Yeah, I can definitely tell you what not to do too. Don't use UPS boxes and mailboxes, etc., and those kind of things. They've all been basically flagged, right? So you're going to set yourself up for trouble there. Never ever change your business name in Google My Business just to try to rank in a map pack. They're the best way that I've seen local businesses that provide a service to an area where they don't have a physical location that people come to is really to kind of partner up with someone in a similar vertical and basically share a space with them, or at least kind of a virtual space with them. So if they're in a vertical like you do SEO, and there's a technology company or a computer hardware store somewhere, and you decide you want to focus in around your area because you want to be part of the city and have the city mention you and be in directories, but you don't want to put your home address on there, and you don't want to get in trouble with all the licensing board about where you can work and where you can't work locally. So you go into the computer shop and you say, hey, I want to work with you and figure out a way that you can use our service to help kind of get more traffic to your store. And likewise, I need a place to say that I work. I mostly work from home, but love to figure out a way that we can kind of partner up. And then you just use their address, because then you've got 2 whole different industries that are similar to each other where you can share an address. I've seen that work really well for a local business. If you're focusing on the map pack, right? So you create an address, with that partner. You have your mail sent there for your business, and it works well and it complements each other because you're in similar verticals. The other thing I've seen work is outside of maps in your local landing pages. Right now, I mentioned a restaurant franchise earlier. Just launched their local landing pages last week. They haven't done the redirects from their old pages yet, so I kind of have a duplicate content issue to deal with. But they're local landing pages that were designed to show up in organic results for keywords relevant to that location. So that location will have context. We'll use the term hyperlocal because we're all about buzzwords, right, Chase? And we got this hyperlocal content to address catering and to address all the different things that they serve at that location. So the advantage is, of course, when we're not in the map pack, because there's maybe some better restaurants in LA. We've got Barton G and some other really good restaurants that'll outrank this franchise. We'll still have organic placement right below the map pack. And there's so many different areas that you could advertise too. If you put a little bit of budget into a 5-mile radius of your location, you can do an ad above the maps, you can do an ad in the maps, and then you can have an organic result. So even if you can't use a physical location to try to be in that 3-pack, you can still crush it in 3 other areas of the page. So I would say, you could focus on those areas, link out to your Yelp profiles from wherever you can, so that if Yelp does show up for that query, it's your Yelp page, that appears. Do a little bit of Barnacle SEO around your business citations, so that when the directories and the TripAdvisors and the Yelps show up, it's your listing. So a lot of different ways that you can get saturation and own some real estate on the first page of Google for a localized search result without worrying as much about that 3-pack. I don't know if that answers your question, or if that frustrates you, because the whole everyone wants to own 3-pack right now.
Yeah, and just for those of you who don't understand what Barnacle SEO means, it's basically like creating a ranking on a site that's not yours. So like, for instance, Yelp or Bing or wherever, or it wouldn't be, I mean, a Bing local page would not be a Barnacle SEO. It would be, you get what I'm saying, like an external source that's like a landing page, basically.
It's also what happens if you're a cursed pirate, right?
Say that again. If you're what?
What happens if you're a cursed pirate?
If you're a cursed pirate, yeah. Well, isn't one of the local algorithms called pirate now?
Yeah, we had a client get penalized because he had like 2 gigabytes of music on a subdomain that he was using as a file server. So I'm like, why can't I get this guy to rank? And we find like 8,000 links to MP3s. I'm like, yeah, that'll do it.
He's like, well, it's more affordable to just not have to buy a separate, domain or hosting.
Yeah, we ended up moving him. We moved him to a whole new domain, and we 410'd the old one completely. Nice. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I think that Steve answered that pretty well. I'm not going to go into that, but that is something I get asked all the time, Steve. It's just crazy. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just that and then URL structure, but we'll leave that off for now. All right. Next question. Sorry, everybody. So apparently I'm going to have to go and fix this in editing after this, but I changed my volume levels. Hopefully this sounds better. I think Steve and I's voice is equal now. So those last 2 videos, apparently your voice was lower than mine, but I'm going to send these to my editor. I'll just tell him to change it post so that it doesn't sound as weird. Okay. Gosh, lots of Facebook questions. Walsh Landscaping and Paving says, hey Chase, how would you drive traffic to your Facebook groups without ads? Will Facebook give you some organic traffic, or would you have to drive from YouTube maybe? So personally, when I've done how I've been able to grow my Facebook group to like 14K members is mainly through YouTube videos. And so in all these videos, I'll always mention, by the way, go join the free Facebook group, and then also ranking the Facebook group on on Facebook. So on Facebook, if you add keywords in there, which by the way, when I first started the group, it was called just the SEO network, the SEO Pro network or something weird. I wasn't really getting anybody signing up for it. And then after I saw another group performing well, Steve, you might be in this group. I don't know. It's called the White Hat SEO group, ran by this guy named Nicolay. I probably didn't say his name right. I'm
in more groups than I can keep up with. But
yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so that group was targeting just the keywords White Hat SEO. So I'm like, okay, well, they're obviously bringing a bunch of traffic they talk about all the time, because they would run polls in there and people would say, yeah, I joined from like Facebook search. And so I just changed my name to that. I wrote out my description really long, and now I get a bunch of people coming in for those keywords. Some other ways you can do it is you can start doing like paid ads if you wanted to. I experimented with that for a while too, where I would just mention my Facebook group in content that I was promoting. So that's like called a content upgrade. So when I would like go launch a new big post or something on my website, I would say in this post, the first thing it would say would be a call to action. By the way, don't forget to join the free Facebook group. And then I would get an email because people would put their email in and it would redirect them to the Facebook group. And then it would also say, don't forget to subscribe to YouTube. So I would try to hit them on all three networks. But the biggest thing for me is to make sure that you try to get your traffic controlled on multiple assets. So if you can try to get people on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever else that you're going to be consistent with your content on, that's the most important thing.
I think if just from observation, one of the things that you've done really well as well is building relationships. So you build a lot of great relationships with other folks in the industry. I think you've enlisted a few of them to be moderators for you. So whether they're they volunteered when you asked for a show of hands of who could help, or if there's incentives involved. Either way, if you get somebody who's really well connected and has a lot of people following them who would be willing to share the group, I think that makes a huge difference. If you look at what SEM Rush does, and what's his name, Anton over there, he does a really good job of connecting with people and getting them to participate in the group, inviting them to the group, right? As they become friends, he says, "Hey, I'd love to get your support in this group that I'm building out." So I see a lot of that. I know even with websites, not even just Facebook groups, but even with websites that are new and growing, what I've seen be successful is getting thought leaders and micro influencers, who are a big part of the industry that you're in, to participate in the content creation and getting them to guest blog and write posts. And I've even been paid a few times to get started and participate, and stayed on board even after the time period of them trying to ramp up, simply because I enjoyed writing for the site and the friendships I built with the other folks that were writing blog posts. So I would say reach out to the community and make some friends, and invite people in, and invite key people to be moderators. And what we're doing today is an example of what you might do, is host some events and invite those people in. And
Yeah.
no one would join your event without joining your Facebook page, right?
Right. Well, and that's a really good point, Steve, because I actually have learned that trait. Oh, I learned it a little while ago from this guy who, I won't mention his name. I don't like dropping names, but he's somebody who's well known. And he said, one of the reasons why I became so successful is because I found people who were already really successful, and I made a point to become associated with those people, whether I'm just getting on a phone call with them and just saying hi or whatever. At least I have some sort of open communication with them, because it's so tremendously valuable having people in your circle that you can just be like, for instance, when I get on here, I'm like, Steve, you want to get on here? Because I know you're going to contribute so much to this content. So for me, it's just like, why wouldn't I try to like keep a relationship like that going, where I'm checking in with the people or whatever, maybe offering free advice, maybe cross promoting whatever they have, whatever it is. Right.
Getting second opinions on cool tools you're building out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which, by the way, I need to send you one of those new tools that I just got. And what actually wound up happening is some of the Facebook group owners, like that guy I was telling you about, and then this other guy named Stephen King. Gosh darn, I keep dropping names. He also gives me the ability to post in his group, and I can post the other group where normally people wouldn't be able to do that. But because they know the type of content I promote isn't just, sell, they're like in a place where it's like, okay, well, we'll kind of let Chase be an exception. So that's a really nice thing to have, because I've nourished those relationships where it's like, okay, now I get this extra traffic. So when I post a video and I'm promoting my own group or whatever I'm promoting, even though I promote pretty indirectly because I'm all about value up front, I end up getting like an extra, 3,000 views per video or whatever it is. Okay, cool. So, anyways, yes, those are some ways that you can promote Facebook groups without ads. Even though I said there was ads, I'm sorry about that. Kind of got lost. Okay, welcome everybody. We got 24 people in chat now. I really encourage you to ask Steve some questions if you can, especially if you have questions about PPC type stuff.
Thanks for putting up with me while I'm multitasking a bit here. As I mentioned before, I'm doing this little hyper local framework to try to figure out how to had a cookie cutter for like 3,400 restaurants.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, it's cool. It's really neat because when we're done, we'll be able to cookie cutter. I'll have all the all the different campaign types, and it's for one brand, so we just have to basically switch the URLs and the radius targeting, and call extensions and local extensions.
Are you gonna end up releasing that template you were telling me about a while ago?
Pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
The last month or so has been pretty high growth for us. We're doing a lot of the new client acquisition stuff for next year, and getting our renewals for next year, planning our holiday events, and so it's been a little bit of a whirlwind. Next week, we have Veterans Day, a couple offsite meetings, and the following week is Thanksgiving. So it's like I think the only time I'm actually going to be able to work on this is during Black Friday while the family's out shopping. I'll be able to hide out in the office and try to get it done. We'll see.
If you're lucky, right?
Wishful thinking. Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you do end up releasing that, let me know. I'd love to do a little video for you and just kind of tell people about it, because that's tremendously valuable. It's something that I've been wanting to do, but as you know, it's just a bunch of work to put that together.
I'm just glad we're going to be able to do something to help some of these small businesses that can't afford to have a $20,000-$30,000 agency or consultancy working with them. Now they have a framework that they can use without the high cost. So I'm excited to sort of level the playing field, which is going to be fun.
It's a nice little step in between for the people who don't necessarily have the budget.
Yep, looking out for the underdogs.
Yeah. All right. Well, Steve, I'm gonna keep going through these questions. If you have to go anytime, just let me know.
Sure.
All right. Our next question is from Mark M. He says, Chase, I want to see my competitors' backlinks without having to pay an arm and a leg to see them. What would you suggest to pierce the veil? So I'm going to let Steve answer this because I don't do anything regarding links.
Yeah, the links operator is something I don't really trust anymore. You used to be able to just go to Google and just do, if you haven't looked at all the different Google search operators, there's so many different ways that you can find information about a website. And the funny part is my kid, who's like 13 years old, she's getting homework assignments about proving whether or not an article is fake news or real news. And one of the things they actually put in that exercise is to do a Google search operator to see how many other websites or web pages link to that page that she's reading. I'm like, wow, they're teaching like 13-year-olds this stuff. It's incredible. That's one way that you could do it. If you want to just kind of see how many links are pointing to a page or pointing to a domain, is use that links operator. The other way is you're participating in these SEO groups. Ask somebody, just say, hey, does anybody have an Ahrefs or SEMrush or Majestic account? I just need to pull some data really quickly for a client. Happy to pay you for your time to do it. And half the time, your friends and your peers on Facebook will just hook you up, and they want to have that relationship, and hopefully you'll lean on them in the future for more than just a quick lookup. So there's one way to kind of get quick data. If you're going to do it as part of your work, as part of your living, as what you do as an SEO, at some point you just have to sort of bite the bullet and decide, that we need these tools to be effective at delivering good reporting. But in the short term, as you're bootstrapping, borrow from a friend, or just say, hey, how much do you pay a month for your account? Can you add me on as a user, and I'll pay the extra user fee? And in those cases, you'll pay a fraction of what you would for your own account by having yourself added on as a user. There's always ways that you can work around having to have your own account.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't even use I don't even look at links for like anything, but I have an Ahrefs account, and I love that tool. I mean, in terms of content analysis, keyword analysis, just traffic estimations. If you could get any tool in a paid tool, it would either be that or Screaming Frog. Those would be like the two I would just immediately say I would, get those two.
I'm a big fan of SEMrush, and their links are getting better. They are getting much better.
I don't know what it is. It's maybe the vibe there that I've gotten. It's just their tool is a good tool. I'm not going to get that wrong.
We just dropped Storybase as a keyword tool. We've loved Storybase. Now we're using the new magic keyword tool in SEMrush with different buyer journey phases and upper funnel, lower funnel filters, question filters.
Really?
Get so much content marketing strategy out of that. And they also, just like Ahrefs, is a way that you can run sort of an intersecting link report. When we think about the semantic web and Google categorizing us in the right places for the right keywords, I think when we run an intersecting link report, we find out where the top competitors who are ranking for all the keywords we want to rank for are getting their links by frequency. We can say, 7 competitors are getting a link from this site, but we aren't, because part of that report is basically filtering out, basically filtering in links that you don't have. So it's a great way to really kind of figure out where the industry websites are going to be, where you need to put your time and energy into native advertising and referral traffic and display advertising, as well as boosting your organic and thinking about the semantic web, right? Being where the competitors are. So I love that part of link building and parsing out all the the PBN and single link garbage and focusing on links that are linking to 3 or more competitors. I think that's where you're really going to get your value when you think about an out of the box link strategy without having to go after all that garbage. That's not going to help you.
Just look at common intersects. You think that's pretty good to do?
Oh, I love it. It's easy too. I mean, it's like the site's already linking to the 7 competitors, or there's a list of competitors on a page, and you're not on there. It's like, put yourself where the competitors are.
Yeah.
It really helps when you think about how search engines map the internet. That's, if you're not where your competitors are, maybe you're off in left field and not as relevant as a competitor might be, right?
I remember actually back in the day, like when I first started doing SEO, I actually sort of did something like that. And I think this was like the only link I've ever built besides a citation.
Yeah.
And I went over to look at, like, I don't remember who it was, but it was like Bruce Clay and like it was basically all these different SEO sites. And I saw they were all getting no follow links from mattcutts.com.
Uh-huh.
And so I realized I could just go over there and create an account, get a no follow link. And I'm not kidding you. After I did that, like I was trying to rank for my town for SEO. It shot up to like the first page within like, I think it was like a week.
No, the whole co-occurrence thing, yeah, it's not necessarily the page rank passing through the link that's important. It's about you being where, the competitors are.
Yeah.
It's so funny whenever you say back in the day, I've been in.
Well, back in the day for
like
me.
98, and you say back
Yeah.
in the day, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so old.
I mean, I wasn't even born in, actually, no, I was. Okay, I was 5 years old then. All right, so there you go, Mark. Hopefully you got some value from that. All right. We got a bunch of questions in the chat. If you want to go through those, Steve, I don't know if you could see them. Maybe select a couple, because I don't think we can answer all of those today.
All right, I'll get out of my workbook. Let's see.
Or I can just pick them out.
Let's see. There's where'd you leave off? 2-month-old website.
I haven't answered any of the ones in chat yet. I've been answering all of the ones off the subscriber comments.
All right. First one was we're not getting enough clicks on AdSense, even though our traffic has doubled in the last few months. Yeah, there's a lot more ad blockers than ever. I would have to say on the ad question of why AdSense hasn't been performing. A lot of the newer browsers and newer phones and everything that's coming out technology-wise is a lot of ad blockers. I would say it's probably part of it. If you're an AdSense advertiser, another creative thing to do instead of just getting AdSense is reach out to brands that you see in your ads and say, hey, would you like exclusivity to that area that you've been getting traffic from our site, even though you might not have been getting a lot of placement traffic. I'll just give you that spot for a guaranteed period. And as part of that, let's figure out a way that we can help you beyond the ad. Like maybe we can do a guest blog or a write-up or something like that. I think there's other ways that you can generate revenue without having to worry as much about AdSense. We've seen the same trend, though. AdSense seems to be going down quite a bit. You can also try to change your preferred ad preference. Maybe a video in that spot might perform better, or something else, or rework the design or layout of the page to make that ad space a little bit more engaging and less of a traditional banner ad.
Hey, Steve, on the next one that you answer, if it's like a 30-second answer, don't tell me to start recording. If it's going to be like a 1 to 2 minute answer, tell me to start recording. And then if you can, repeat the question once we go. Because that one I missed because I wasn't sure if it was going to be a long or short answer.
Gotcha. It was, why are we not getting more clicks on our AdSense? even though our traffic has doubled in the last few months.
Wait, are you going to answer it again? Should I press?
Nah, I was just telling you the
Oh.
question if you wanted to go back and throw that question in the beginning of the answer. Next question is, bro, what are your thoughts on personal branding versus using agency brand for a YouTube channel and the website under which you take projects? So if you want to record that one, you can.
Okay, ready, set. You got to repeat it though. Ready, set, go.
All right. So question is, what are your thoughts on personal branding versus using an agency brand for YouTube channel and the website under which you take projects? I think it varies based on your topic. You know, we do pay a lot of influencers to help with marketing where they've got a personal brand and individual people follow that personal brand. My kid follows Jake Paul, unfortunately. That's a personal brand, right? But there's also Watch Mojo, you know, and you know, BuzzFeed, and there's so many other brands that are out there that aren't people, that do have people with them, that do really well. I would say if you're one person and you're the guy that's going to be on camera 90% of the time, make it about you. Build your personal brand out, and as you grow and you build more relationships and grow your team, you may evolve that to something else. Remember Dane Bowe? What was the guy's name that ran the Annoying Orange? He had his thing for a while, and then he started Annoying Orange. So it went from being personal brand to being, you know, a character brand. I think that's kind of the way to grow outward. Try everything. Try some different themes and see what kind of takes off.
So the funny thing is, actually, Steve has a agency brand, right? And it's Wildman Consulting. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Or no, it's Weedman, right?
You got it.
Sorry. I always think there's an L in there for some reason. And then I've actually made a personal brand. I can tell you from a personal brand perspective, when it comes to creating content, it's a lot easier because it's like, oh, Chase Reiner, you know, SEO just created a new video. But when it comes to like fulfilling agency work and stuff like that, that's when it gets really confusing because people are like, oh, well, I'm hiring Chase, right? And it's like, no, this is the agency. You're getting an audit from Chase, but then the in-house workers are fulfilling the work. And then it gets kind of confusing, right? So there are downfalls. Like I remember I heard Neil Patel once say that he wished he would have created a agency brand rather than a personal brand. But even I thought that at some point, but I don't know if that's necessarily true because I don't know if I would have gotten as much traction if I would have done, and from a content perspective, if I would have done a bunch of, content from an agency standpoint.
We opened our office in Brazil a couple of months ago, and we went with, instead of Wiedemann Consulting Group or my name, we just went with the name Wiedemann, and we're calling it Wiedemann Brazil. And it's unique, it's different, it stands out. It's still my name, but my name's very uncommon. So if you have a very common name, you know, that's where it's going to get tricky. But you know, mine's, you know, a little bit out there, so it kind of made sense for us, and it's worked. I mean, people go, what's Wiedemann, right? So it builds some interest, and it seems to be doing pretty good down there so far.
Nice.
Yeah. Let me read the next one.
Yep.
All right, let's do it. Next question. Are you recording?
Yep. Wait, let me redo that then. Let me redo it.
I'm making a website for a cell phone repair place in exchange for a cell phone. Oh, cool. The client wants me to get them to show up for nearby cities, and I'm attempting this using city pages. Advice? I'm not sure what you mean by city pages. Is city pages a destination, or like is it like
I think he means like related landing type pages for different cities they're going to be targeting.
Landing pages. So yeah, so there's CLPs and PLPs, right? City level pages and property level pages when it comes to multi-location search. So when I see city level page, I think, you know, hey, this is the page that lists all the different locations within a city. But you're kind of blending the two, and you're saying, should I create a page on my website specifically for the city that I'm targeting? And you're going to make that sort of your property level page and city level page blend. We just did a study of 100 of these in food and dining, and we studied everything from page speed to markup used to, does it have a map, directions, phone number, is it clickable, is there geo meta tags, what's the title, what's the description, what's the heading, it does have a video, all this kind of stuff. And we analyze it to figure out, you know, what would be the perfect experience for a local search result. And I think it's worth it. I think every time we do one for attorneys and clients in industries where a local landing page makes sense, it's crushed it. It's worked really well. So I would say for the nearby cities, the way to do this is basically to create a list of things that are interesting or unique about the city and the local cities, and then go into your client with a decent camera, record 3 different videos. One where he goes through the list of cities and what's unique about them, such as Anaheim, known for Disneyland, and if you're an attorney, and also for a lot of car accidents or whatever, kind of tie it into whatever relevance relates to your business, and then do a video about the firm or the company and who they are, the brand, and then another video that is with testimonials that you can thread in. Then you take that hodgepodge of different videos and you create a unique hyperlocal video for each page. Put that next to the call to action above the fold that says, basically looking for a plumber, doctor, whatever your client happens to be in city. We can help you, or whatever your call to action happens to be. Your video's over there to the side on desktop. It's below it on mobile. And then your content below includes testimonials from clients that he has in those areas, hopefully, as well as, anything that you can tie in that's relevant to the industry and to that area that might help your page rank. We've done this, like I said, with attorneys, and, we crush it in, almost every city for 4 main practice areas that are important to the attorney. It's a lot of writing. It's a lot of research. Maybe you'll even a little crowdsourcing with Mechanical Turk, for a few cents per task, and we end up with dozens of really good hyperlocal pages that address clients that are in those areas. None of those are meant for the 3-pack or Google Maps. They're all meant for organic, right below that 3-pack area. I think it's a great idea if you're going to do it.
Yeah, I've even found that just taking like content that's similar to what Wikipedia talks about. So if you're talking about like an area and you talk about like the population or the weather or what the state is remembered by, or the city, whatever,
Yep.
has actually helped me rank very, very well against competition with huge websites where it's just like a single page ranking.
We used to take the picture that was in Wikipedia, the Wiki Commons or whatever picture, and then we create a mashup of the Google map and the Wikipedia picture, and then we put a bar at the bottom, with the call to action and the contact information, and then a picture of whoever, the doctor or attorney in front of it. We call those hyperlocal images.
Mm-hmm.
And we name it, personal injury attorney .jpg or
Right.
-city .jpg, and that little hyperlocal image, including the binary of what they already know about the city in Wikipedia, and of course the map itself, seemed to make a difference when we were doing it. Now we do a lot more custom stuff, but back then that was a quick fix way to take something that was already online, take 3 assets that were already online, and create a unique image out of it.
Right.
Or kind of unique image.
Can we just address really quick that he's making a website and SEOing it for a cell phone? I feel like maybe he should at least be charging a cell phone a month, but that's just like my whole extra little thing I want to
barter
put.
thing never worked out for me. Every time I tried to do it, when I left Disney back in 2007, when I left Disney in 2007 and wanted to be home with the family more, and went to my neighboring businesses, and my career was really kind of taking off as a sole proprietor, I started doing some barter things because I felt like I had superpowers at the time, right? In 2007, SEO wasn't that big of a deal, but for those people who understood, that they didn't show up in search engines, it was huge. So we got personal trainers and limousine drivers, and we did all sorts of really cool barters, but none of them really went well because each one perceives their value as being better than yours, no matter what you do or how much revenue you can prove to them you're driving for them, because they don't understand technology most of the time. They understand, their business and what they do. So, I mean, if you can do it and you can pull it off and you get a phone out of it and you do a set it, forget it, get their, their database aggregator stuff squared away with, say, Moz Local, you do a little local landing page for them with all those criteria I mentioned earlier. You give them a little citation building, for city directory and industry directories, You pay attention to your search engines, your social local, your navigation engines like Apple Maps and MapQuest, and give them some tips on how to, get people out the door with a page that reminds them to leave a review. And if you can do those things and get it going, and it's low maintenance on an ongoing basis because you've got a Moz Local or something set up to manage the aggregator part of it, go for it. I mean, it's $1,000 phone, right? So if you put 10 hours into it, a day and a couple hours of work, at $100 an hour or whatever you charge, I say go for it. Why not? But just be careful on the barter stuff because it for me it's never really worked out well, just from experience.
Right on.
Next question. How we doing on time? You gotta wrap up, or?
I'm as long as you're making content for my channel, dude, I'll be here all day.
All right, let's do another one. Tell me when you're ready.
Let me grab the question this time first, because otherwise, tell me which one is going to be.
I was going to go with the make an H1 heading for your main keyword.
Okay. Do you make an H? Hold on. Ready. And I'm ready.
All right. Next question. Do you make an H1 heading for your main keyword? And that is a really good question. And I'm going to be honest with you on what I've understood about how search works. It's generally, that first crawl of your content that gives clues to the search engines about what to serve your page for. After that first crawl, after they've introduced your page and see how it performs, your content becomes less important. It's the links that kind of get you to the bottom of the search results. And it's how users interact with your search result. As beautiful as it hopefully is with all its great rich markup and convincing titles and descriptions. And when they get to your page, do they stay or do they return to the search results? So it's really, it starts with content, then it goes to links, then it goes to user behavior, and the other two become less and less important over time. So I would say, yes, it is going to be important in the beginning about what you do with your H1 tag, but long term, it's really not going to matter quite as much. So here's how we look at page level optimization. Here's how we beat Olive Garden last week for the term pasta and breadsticks.
Whoa.
So what we did is we said, here's from all of our keyword research around these particular items, these products that you sell. This keyword is the most searched of that group. And it's all of the keywords are relevant, right? We took out all the ones that are irrelevant. This one's the most searched. So we're going to put this into our HTML title so that search engines and users see it first, right? The user sees it in the search result and Google hits that title tag before anything else. So we put our most searched for keyword there. We use the H1 tag for the second most searched term. Even if it was a derivative, we try to get that second most term in our H1 tag. Third, fourth, fifth, we put into subheadings. Sometimes they're so similar or they're singular plural that we kind of skip it and go to the next one down because otherwise it just looks like keyword stuffing. So you want to make sure that each heading and subheading are unique and helpful to the user. So we'll modify it with text that includes the search term but isn't sort of shoving the keyword down the reader's throat, right? So I would say the H1 on each page should be unique. Of the other H1s that you have on the website, it should only be one H1. There are special circumstances where it might make sense to use more than one, but it's very rare. And it would be your second most term in the cluster of keywords that will benefit you. So that way your page appears for a wider array of keywords, and you're not just keyword stuffing your title, description, heading, subheadings, and annoying the user, and obviously flagging your page for being spam.
So here's a question, Steve. When you show your H1 on the page high up, right, probably above the fold, if they click into a title but you're putting in a different H1, would that confuse the users at all?
It's not different. It's usually it's a derivative or it's semantic to the term that you
got it.
Yeah.
So it's still sort of the same expectation, because for the most part I've seen like when people do a title and then they'll do like a completely different H1, I'll see a higher bounce rate because they'll click into it and they'll be like, oh, I wasn't expecting pears, I'm looking for apples, right?
Yep. Yeah, you always want to make sure you're solving the user's intent with whatever word you're using. That's why I said I prune out all the irrelevant keywords to focus on what they're really looking for. And one example, by the way, if you do a search for title tag principles, there's this old page that I have from like 2009 that's still out there. I think it was an old blog post before I moved to not doing my best content on blog posts. And the funny part was somebody said, hey, how come you don't repeat back the same thing in the title that you do in the description. It's like, I don't want to be repetitive, but I want to make sure the point gets across. So it's, learn title tag principles that help, improve CTR and SEO ranking. And then in the description, I'll say something similar, but different. I might write out search engine optimization instead of SEO, or I might use click-through rate instead of CTR. I'll say the same thing but differently, so I'm not just repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Otherwise, you sound like a broken record.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah. Next question.
I think we got that one.
We'll do a couple more, and then at some point I got to toggle back over to this thing, or I'll be here all day.
Yeah, I usually cut it off anyways about an hour at 55 minutes. So, this guy, Mr. Maverish, really wants his. I mean, he gave us a really large question. If you want to try to go about that one.
Let's see. I'm scrolling.
It's at the very bottom.
Yeah, then we can jump back up.
And by the way, if you guys don't get your questions answered today, make sure you leave them in the Facebook group. And I'm sure if Steve has time, he'll probably respond. Just make sure you tag him in that question.
I got a Twitter too. If you want to, I'm just SEO Steve. Same old SEO Steve from the 90s and 2000s. Just shoot your question there, and I'll reply as quick as I can.
Or that.
Cool. So when you're ready, we'll
ready, set, go.
All right. Question is, what would be the best URL structure for a business that has one location but offers its services to several counties? I know we answered this in a previous question. But,
told you, man. This is a question that gets asked a lot.
So there's kind of two ways that businesses go after this. They either do service/locations, and they'll do all the different locations, or they'll do locations, and then under each location they'll do services. I would do what makes the most sense for your business. What's worked with us, we have a few attorneys that we support with helping build strategy, and then their writers do all the grunt work. What's worked for them when they have multiple areas that they serve is doing a main locations page, right? And having a list of the different cities that they offer services in. And then under those cities, what we'll do is we'll rework the navigation when you're in the city section, the city parent page. So let's just say you're going after personal injury attorney. I used Anaheim in a previous question. We'll keep on Anaheim. But you serve all of Orange County, California, but Anaheim's one of the cities. What would we do is we would have personal injury attorney in Anaheim. And then when you're in that Anaheim page, the top navigation will change to be focused around the main practice areas that you offer in that city. It does require a lot of hyperlocal content and up to 2-3 years of really getting it going, but it works. It works like a champ if you take the time to really create good content. And so we'll have 4 different practice areas in the navigation. We'll have car accident lawyer, truck accident lawyer, wrongful death attorney, right? And then all of those will be specific to Anaheim. So when you do a search for Anaheim personal injury lawyer, or Anaheim truck accident lawyer, Anaheim car accident lawyer, we've got a dedicated page to satisfy that query. I think somebody might have chimed in on the question. So I think that's kind of how we handle it. Again, going back to content, video, it's going to be doing a picture or image that's relevant to the area and to the practice area that the person's looking for. Stay away from stock images. That binary code's already been mapped by Google. No matter how much you try to redefine it to them, it's not really going to help you as much. It's the markup that you have on the page, and if you're an attorney, it's going to be your legal service, right? I think that's the new markup for attorney. And so look at what markup to use on the page. Try to get some reviews on there. If you can get an aggregate review markup going, so you get beautiful stars in the search result, that'll help your click-through rate on that page. A lot of different things that you can do at the page level to help make those local pages perform really well in Google.
Did you happen to address the URL structure too?
So just like I mentioned, in terms of how we organize it, it's going to be site.com/locations/city, right? And that's your parent page. And then you're going to have / beyond that, car accident, truck accident, wrongful death, or if you're a cosmetic surgeon, you might have Botox or whatever your main. I would start with the main 3 or 4 max, and then everything after that you can just link back to your main page for the county that you're trying to target. So if you're an Orange County plastic surgeon or an Orange County lawyer, then get those main practice areas on your hyperlocal city pages, and the rest of them can all kind of link back to the main page. And you'll still do decent for them because they're on the page itself. You're not excluding them. When Google hits that page, it knows that you offer that service in that city. It's just not going to be as emphasized. You want to emphasize, the top 3 or 4 practices that make you the most money or that you enjoy doing the most.
Nice.
Yeah, that's how it's worked, at least in the cases that we've done it. I mean, I would experiment and play around to see what works across different clients and see where you get the most bang for your buck. Always try to keep it close to the root. Don't use spammy URLs with personal injury attorney whatever whatever. Just keep it simple. If it's personal injury or if it's whatever keyword you happen to go over, you don't need to repeat keywords in the URL. That's sort of a passe SEO technique, is using these really long keyword-rich URLs. They just look spammy, and whenever I can, I try to map my URLs to what I have in AdWords, just to kind of keep it simple. Sorry, Google Ads, to keep it simple and consistent.
Right on.
Should we do the next question?
Do the next question.
Up or keep going down?
Up to you, man.
Let's go back up. Let's see. I don't want to miss anybody. There's some good stuff up there. Let's see. Okay, cool. I got one. Tell me when you're ready.
What is it?
This is the 2-month-old site, putting articles, optimizing super low competition keywords that doesn't show up anywhere. This is a really broad one too. So
I got it. Hold on 1 second.
Guys, this is great. I haven't seen so many questions in a Q&A in a long time. This is fun.
Oh yeah, if we would have scheduled it, we would have gotten way more, but all right, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, great. So the question is, I got a 2-month-old website. I put articles optimizing super low comp, I guess it's competitor keywords or competition keywords, but my site doesn't show up anywhere till the last search result page in Google. How can I get some traction? So this is a little bit around psychology. This is a content question. How do I get my page to rank in Google for very long tail keywords or low, competitive keywords? And this really circles back to the buyer's journey, right? And whenever I hear somebody use the word article, I think to myself, someone wants to rank for a keyword. They went to Text Broker, they ordered an article, they slap it on a page with a big throw up of paragraphs, and they go, why isn't it ranking? Right? And I'm not saying that's the case here, but I can tell you that the problem with that is that you haven't really thought about what the user's specific intent is, or looked at the competing pages, or looked at the keywords that are driving traffic to the competing pages to help create that framework I'd mentioned earlier around what to use in the title, what to use in the heading, what to use in the subheadings, and what to use as image names and alt and markup. So I think when you take the time to look at each page individually and understand, based on what Google's displaying in the search results, what the user's end desire is, I think you might end up starting to divide your content based on awareness, consideration, or buyer phase, of the journey. So I think when you look a little bit more at trying to solve their problem and trying to provide the most helpful content, and by the way, it might not even be all contextual. You might only need a paragraph if what you're offering on the page from an illustration standpoint or a video standpoint solves their problem. You could do just fine. It's really just, again, about having the best page. So what I would do, the easiest way to sort of troubleshoot your content is go to a crowdsourcing site like Mechanical Turk, right? Amazon Mechanical Turk, super cheap, it's easy to use, and just ask some people that are in the area that you're targeting. Ask some people, say what makes the pages that appear in Google search results better than this page, right? Just ask that question. Maybe even ask 1,000 people for 10 cents an answer, right? Whatever you can afford to do if that page is important to you. And then take those results, pull them down into a spreadsheet, and then start a column called theme and go through and just theme each answer. And what you're going to do when you're done is you're going to sort your workbook by theme and by frequency. Like, hey, 40% of the people who answer this question said that their page had a better title than mine, or their page had better images, or their page was easier to use on a mobile device, or easier to read on mobile. And that brings us to another thing too. Maybe split up your survey, 500 desktop, 500 mobile. Get back all those answers. You'll have your nice little list of themes organized by the most frequent. Start at the ones that seem to be mentioned the most and make yours better, and then circle back. It also might be what's going on off your website. Maybe your content's freaking amazing and it does solve the user's intent. Maybe it is the best page on the internet for that query, but you got a little bit anxious with your link building and did some things that Google might be frowning on. Maybe you forgot to review the link schemes guidelines and got in trouble with explicit anchors. So take a look at your links as well. With voice coming into the picture, one other thing you might do on your page is take that very top paragraph, make sure it's under 300 characters and really summarizes the page well. I wouldn't say 300, we'll say 300 to 350, right? Make sure that short answer solves what the user is looking for right away near the top. And the H1 sort of is the question or whatever it is you're trying to solve, if this is awareness type content. And then get that content everywhere. Pick up a Google alert for anybody who asks the question that your 300 characters solves and drop that answer in whenever you get the Google alert when someone's asking that question. 6 months down the road, you'll have dropped probably 20, 30 of these answers, and you might have that featured answer box. You might show up on Google Assistant, for touch-free searches, and really build authority because your answers solve the problems. It goes back a little bit, Chase, to what you were saying in another question around what content to lean on to sort of provide relevancy. Wikipedia is a great place to start to draw inspiration. Just don't copy it verbatim because that's already part of the knowledge graph. I think that would be a great way to look at your content and hopefully troubleshoot your rankings.
Nice. That was a good one, Steve.
I do my best. That's all I do. I can't cook or use tools to save my life, but put me behind a keyboard, man, I'm on fire. Just kidding. Let's go to the next question.
Tell me what you want to do.
Next one is around share a good example of local business website.
All right, 1 second. And ready, set, go.
Great. So this question is around local SEO, and it's, can you please share an example of good optimized local business website with good content and silo optimization? Silo is an old term that you mentioned Bruce Clay in a previous question. He created this really neat idea around siloing content and also rankings. The website, I don't know what this word is, as Etalon local SEO. So we'll just talk about, in this case, what are some good examples. There's a few attorneys that we've looked at, not necessarily that we've worked on. Some of them maybe yes or no. I'd say some really good examples might be if you're in Los Angeles, there's an attorney, David Azizi. If you do a search for David Azizi attorney, you'll find him there. He's done a really good job with solving for Los Angeles, really well, I think, especially around practice areas that are super important to him, like slip and fall and truck. We've built some really good silo strategies for him. If you want to look at how we've siloed truck and what that truck section looks like, that was a really big one, as well as slip and fall. You could use the XML sitemap, or you could just use Screaming Frog and run a crawl to look at the tree of how we've created those silos to see how we address local search. He's still struggling a little bit, I think, on the link side of things, but we've given him a pretty good content strategy, and that's done some damage over the last couple of years. Another good one is attorney out in the Kentucky area. If you look for Isaacs and Isaacs, ISAACS and Isaacs, you can look at two things. One, sort of the three states that he serves. You'll find in his top navigation around his practice areas. If you scroll to the footer, you'll find 4 actual physical addresses where he has an office. If you want to see some really decent hyper-local SEO in action, like look at Louisville, and at his Louisville, you'll see the examples of the sub pages for the practice areas that he wants to rank for in Louisville. I think those are probably my 2 best examples. Hit me up on Twitter at SEO Steve, and I can send you a direct message of a few other examples if you're interested. But those are 2 of my favorites to fall back on that seem to be performing really well at the moment.
Nice.
Cool. Ooh, there's a good one in here. Tell me when you're ready. We'll go through the next one, which is AMP.
Does AMP's article matter that one?
Yeah.
And 3, 2, 1.
All right. Next question is, does AMP articles matter for rankings, or can I go without AMP version of articles? And this is a tough one because Google's made it clear that page speed and speed is a ranking signal with them. They're going to look at how fast your page loads. It does seem biased for them to say, hey, we're only going to reward sites that use AMP for ranking. So I don't think they're actually looking at AMP and saying, oh, this is AMP, I'm going to rank it higher. I think what happens is once you've deployed an AMP page, that page performs well in the search results and moves up quickly. So especially on mobile, and when mobile indexing was a little bit easier before it went to mobile first. So I think it was a little bit easier, a couple years ago. Now it's slowed down and it's a little bit more competitive. The way that I look at mobile is not just being mobile friendly, but being optimized for mobile, right? And that's something fun that you could tweet if you're into SEO. Don't just be mobile friendly, be optimized for mobile. It's really easy for a developer to throw a viewport tag in the header part of your page and say, there you go, you passed Google's mobile friendly test, you should be doing fine. But then you look at your AMP pages and your search results, and you're like, man, I'm just not doing really good. And you look at the page itself, and it's kind of wonky, and the aesthetics are off a bit, and the functionality is kind of hosed, and you can't get what you could get before you went to AMP or to the mobile friendly view. So I think the point here is to design the page with the same or better user experience, whether you're using AMP or responsive design and moving away from desktop. If when you create that AMP page, it's as good or better than the page that you had for desktop, then you're putting yourself in a good place. We did this test with a shoe manufacturer we worked with, and everyone was skeptical. AMP's only for editorial, AMP's only for news. No, your web developer's telling you that because they're lazy. They want to install a plugin. They want to install a plugin called AMP for WP, and they want to walk away because they're lazy. That's the honest truth. And if you take the time to design every page with an AMP version that is equally as helpful, I know it can't have as much functionality, but you can make it equally as helpful, you're going to outrank all of the competitors because your page loads faster and is more helpful. So if you take the time and really do, like the Mechanical Turk research and other things we've suggested earlier on to test your page to see why it might not be ranking as well as the pages that are, and you design that AMP version to be just as helpful, you're going to crush it in the search results. So that shoe manufacturer we mentioned saw an immediate lift in overall organic traffic, and that lift has just continued to move up and up and up on mobile searches. And when the mobile first indexing started, when they started rolling it out in July of 18, depending on when you're watching this video, it did even better. So I would say work toward having an AMP version and continue testing until that AMP version performs just as good. Don't give up. It's so easy to give up when things aren't working well or performing well. Keep testing until something gives, and then 6 months down the line you'll be feet on the desk and feeling really good about yourself. So give it a shot.
That's impressive. I always thought that AMP wasn't really going to be a huge difference, but I mean, I haven't done enough testing with it to really, no, it's cool that you have a client that actually got a benefit from that.
I think eBay rolled out like 2 million URLs or something on AMP.
Wow.
Yeah, they're doing great.
That's crazy. I wonder when Amazon's going to start implementing it.
Yeah, Amazon still doesn't have the best UI of anything, but they're so trusted that they still get the benefit. It was nice to see Yelp get crushed recently by TripAdvisor. A lot of
Did that happen?
Now, seeing Yelp show up or TripAdvisor show up everywhere.
Wow.
And so TripAdvisor is great because they want you to ask for reviews. They want you, to grow your business using their platform. Yelp's like, nope, never can't ask for reviews, can't do it. And we love them because Yelp converts really well. They've got really well-designed pages, and there's a lot of user base on it. So we love Yelp from a business standpoint. But the fact that they won't let us ask for reviews and they only want people to leave reviews when they're pissed off, and just I don't know, it's really controversial. We have a
Yeah.
page that we created. If you search for how important are Yelp reviews, where there's a little bit of love hate on that page and we did some study to really understand why people like it and why they don't. So if you're interested in kind of researching that a bit, feel free to check that out.
Nice.
Should we do another question?
Let's do it. By the way, everybody in chat, you guys are all super quiet. I want to see a 1 in chat if you're appreciating Steve coming on here.
Whenever I go to speak at one of the colleges, it's like there's always that one student who's just like goes off, and I feel so bad because I know this isn't like the most exciting industry or topic in the world. But
no, actually, when they're quiet, it means that they're loving your information. Every time they're quiet, it's a good sign. Actually, look at this. Look at all these ones. We're getting a bunch of ones in here.
All right. Cool. Let's see. Let me go up to another fun question. We've already kind of answered a lot of these questions already. We can go back into local. I don't know if we were recording when we talked about local.
I don't remember which
good
one.
Question by Stavros around local.
Let's see.
That's a really good idea.
What do you use for ranking on Google Maps? I don't think we did that one.
Let's do it.
All right. 1 second. Okay. Ready, set, go.
All right. We have a great question from Stavros. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Around local search. The question is, what ways do you use for ranking on Google Maps, especially when competitors paid ridiculous amounts of citations? Any specific ways to rank higher, or it the only way by having the same citations? Darren Shaw at Weispark did a presentation at an event once, and he shared the slides on SlideShare if you ever want to look at it, around sort of how citations at some point plateau out. It's the law of diminishing return. More citations doesn't mean necessarily higher rankings. There's a point where it stops, right? So there's some positive news for you. If you're taking notes right now, you're going to focus around 4 specific areas. I know that we've mentioned this in other videos, Chase, so I don't want to be too redundant, but here's basically what we're going to look at. One is making sure you're in the major databases, for your industry and in general. So databases include Infogroup, Factual, Axiom, Localese. You can do that pretty easily and affordably as a local business through Moz Local. There's other vendors as well that will kind of lock you into a monthly fee that you don't need. Moz Local is sort of an annual, get it in there, and then they manage your data for you to keep it accurate. These databases, these data aggregators will actually sell your information to web directories. So if you're not in them, there's a chance that your information could be inaccurate or not even being pulled. So just by being in those databases alone is going to help you to get into a lot of the business listings that you otherwise couldn't have. So that's number 1 is the data aggregators. Number 2 is local landing page. If your local landing page is more helpful than the local landing page of your competitors, the local landing page that you're putting in as the URL in your Google My Business listing and in your Yelp listing and in your Apple Maps and in all the different places that you're syndicating your name, address, phone number information, then you have a fighting chance. A lot of larger brands can't scale. I'm trying to do what I mentioned earlier for 3,400 locations. It's really hard to create hyper local unique content at scale for larger brands. So as a small business, you have a competitive advantage. You can shoot some videos on site and ask customers for video testimonials. You can do fun personal things that really show how authentic you are as a local business owner. So there's some things that you can do on your local landing page that will crush the competition. You can have more hyperlocal images. You can do 360. The Google guys that are licensed to do this do a virtual tour for a couple $100. Can you imagine if I went to a client that's got 3,400 locations and I said, "Hey, I want you to do a $200 360 video for all your locations"? They laugh me out of the room. But as a small business, you can do that. You can actually have them upload that video through their account in your Google My Business profile, and then use that video on your page, or that 360 experience on your page. So that's number 2 is local landing page. Number 3, you already mentioned citations. How do you beat them if they're getting more citations at scale. Well, most of the competitors are doing it through citations that don't matter as much. They're doing it through channels and sites that don't get any traffic. So I've seen local business owners with less citations do better than those that have more by being more focused in their citation building. So after you've gone through search engines and navigation engines and social local, Facebook, Foursquare, etc., and we'll just say industry citation. There's local, right? So industry is if you're in law, you're going to be in lawyers.com and Avo and Justia and Confirm Law and all those major law directories that do get traffic and send referral traffic your way. That name, address, phone number is going to matter a lot more there than it is across HotFrog or Merchant Circle or crap SEO directory.info, right? So I think if you're more focused after you've gone through that base of primary citations and search engines, navigation engines, and social local, it's going to be around finding your neighborhood chamber of commerce, the neighborhood city directory, maybe even working with other websites that are specific to your area, local bloggers, anything that's really specific to your city, neighboring businesses. And how do you do that? How do you go to a neighboring business and be like, hey, can you mention me on your website? The way to do that is actually by doing local events. So I'd used attorneys as an example in the past. One of our attorneys did a blood drive. He did a free CPR class. He did a free thing to help kids and schools and fill backpacks for Christmas and all sorts of really cool things that can add to your event markup that go in the search result is really good, rich snippets, as well as give you an excuse to go to your neighbor and say, hey, we're doing an event. Can you put some money into it and help us? They're going to say no because everyone's cheap. Oh, no problem. Can you participate? They're going to say no because they're too busy. Well, look, if you can't donate to it and you can't participate, will you at least mention it on your website so that we can try to get more people to contribute? And they're going to kind of feel guilty because they've said no twice. So on the third time's the charm. Most of the time, you're going to get a good response rate, and they'll say, "Sure, we'll mention it." Well, great, we have it mentioned on our local page. If you're multi-location, point to that local page so that your people can learn more about, your visitors can learn more about the event and where it is, name, address, phone number, and get all the info to be able to participate. So if you go to these local businesses who are already in the area, let's say you get 10 of them to do it, Google crawls to those 10 pages, sees that they're actually local businesses in that area that are already in their database, and they know they're genuinely local. Now you've got a way to really crush the competition because you did something the big guys are never going to be able to do. They're never going to be able to go to their neighboring businesses and get name, address, phone number mentioned like that. So I think that's one way to really crush them on the citation side of things. Is focus around industry and hyper local. I think that's what I've seen struggling businesses do to best the big guys and the guys who are paying a lot of money. Beyond that, just creativity. So if you've done data aggregators, local landing page, citation, and reputation, you got to get more creative. You've got to come up with something that's innovative and maybe viral for your area in a way that gets mentioned on the local news. And but I'd love to see an example. If you've done all those things and you're crushing those areas and you're still not ranking well, tweet me at SEO Steve. I'll take a look at what's going on and what the competitor's up to. Maybe they're doing something they shouldn't be, and we can get them reported and have them move out. Love to check it out.
I've also sort of used the last thing you were talking about to my advantage too, which is using like YouTube and other places to start building on national type content, and then reverse sort of building that into my local authority by generating reviews, by having people hit my website for brand related queries. I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do by not just only focusing on local and hitting on a national aspect and bringing that into your local authority.
Yeah, it's always worth a shot. And we didn't really talk much about Google My Business. I know you've done some tutorials. I really enjoy watching you do the Google My Business tutorials because you talk slower than I do, and I like go a million miles a minute. So I'm sure people will really appreciate the slower version. And when you are doing that, you can build out more of your content in Google My Business than the big guys can. They're doing it through a bulk sheet, and not all fields are always available. New fields aren't available in bulk sheets right away. So you have a competitive advantage in that when the new features roll out on Google My Business, you can get in there and drop more video and more service cards. And you could do the veteran led. If you've got a vet that runs the company, there's tags and things that you can do to get little flags and other stuff in the search results to stand out. Take the time and just use every available fields and every available character you can for each of those fields, and you're going to be years ahead of the franchises that can't scale with content like that. I think that'd be another way, at least in the map pack, and in Google Maps, to really really make a dent.
Cool. I think we answered that question for the most part.
Great. One more.
One more. We just got a bunch of new questions, so
I'll let you pick one. I've been picking them. There's some PPC stuff, and
we got one around YouTube strategy. I don't know if we want to do that. Can you give some basic SEO technical advice for price aggregation sites with millions of pages that already rank well? That's going to be a big question.
Maybe we do that one in a whole separate thing. That could be
might be a tutorial in itself.
Well, if that's an ecom, we could do a whole ecom Q&A.
Yeah.
I got some really good ecom examples and some things that work.
Yeah, next time we should segment it out though. We should do like a local one. We should do a ecom one.
It'd be fun.
Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a. I want to do the YouTube one, but at the same time, I don't want to do it because it's just no. Here, you pick the last one, Steve. It's fine. I answer these questions all the time, dude. And if you guys don't get your question answered, again, I know some of you are new, just came in. Make sure you ask Steve either on the Facebook group or on his Twitter, which I will leave in the description of this video.
Let's see. Do you recommend? I have a really quick one, and then we'll do one around Black Hat. You want to do the quick one really quick?
Is this recorded or not recorded?
Recorded.
Okay. Just tell me what it is.
This is around using keywords in your business name for GMB.
Ooh.
You know the answer. That's fine. Just do it.
Don't do it. All right, hold on. Got it. Wait. Gosh, why did I just lose it? Whatever, it's fine. We don't actually need it on here. All right, go for it.
All right, great. We have an SEO question around GMB or Google My Business. And the question is, do you recommend adding a keyword into your business name? For example, Smith Sweets or Smith Sweets Dallas Wedding Cake Bakery. Google has 2 documents on this in their developer. If you look at Google My Business Guidelines, it'll be a great place to start. You'll see 2 listings in the search results that you should read. The very first thing they say is, as you're claiming your business, to use the official business name of your business, what your business is registered at, as what they'll find in business databases, what your company DBA is, your actual business name. That's number 1. But if you have 2 locations, you'll find this out, that are on the same street, right? And one of them's South Beach and one of them's North Beach. It's perfectly acceptable to say, if your company's Smith's South Beach Boulevard and Smith's North Beach Boulevard, because it helps to differentiate the 2 from people who are searching. There's kind of the only exception where you can put in a location to your business. But in terms of putting keywords into your business, it's sort of a blatant violation of their guidelines. You don't need it. Don't feel like they're holding you back because your competitors are getting away with it. You can report the competitors if they're not using their official business name, and have other friends and peers do the same from different locations. Eventually, they're going to get flagged and they're going to go away. I've always believed that you don't have to do extraordinary things to be successful, really, that you just have to do ordinary things extraordinarily well. And I think it was Jim Rohn who said that first. And if you stay the course and you work on the 4 areas of local search: aggregators, local landing page, citations, and reputation. If you focus on those 4 areas continuously every month, you're going to crush the competition. You don't need to cheat by trying to lie about what your business name is. Should we do the next question?
Yep.
So this one's the scarier one. This is the one around Black Hat SEO.
Uh-oh.
You do it?
I think we might have to.
All right, tell me when you're ready.
And 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey Chase, so we just got this question around black hat SEO. A lot of my competitors use black hat techniques like PBNs, private blog networks, to rank locally. It's very tempting because my website is 10 times better in terms of quality and optimization. This is a really tough one. I just used a quote in a previous video we did where I said, you don't have to do extraordinary things to be successful. You only have to do ordinary things extraordinarily well. And if you stand by that, like the clients we've worked with now for some of them over a decade, you will win eventually. And you will have times where you're frustrated because they're getting away with something, but you're going to watch as those competitors fall to the wayside, as Google and their algorithm continue to get better and smarter, and machine learning kicks in. Eventually they're going to get penalized, and those are permanent penalties. They're essentially at some point going to have to start all over, and your history and your doing the right things, your permanent record with the search engines will hold true, and you'll stick there at the top forever. So I would say the first thing that you want to do when you see your competitors getting away with that is report them. There's a link. If you just Google report spam to Google or report paid links to Google, you can actually use that submission form, and it'll queue it up for a manual review. They'll get a manual review and eventually get penalized. One thing we're seeing a lot of competitors getting away with right now is their featured answer spam. So they're not using the PBNs for links anymore, right? They're not trying to link from pages that aren't as relevant. Instead, they're trying to get their 300 to 350 characters splattered all across the internet. The worst culprits of this are recipe-related websites, and the black hats out there are just creating all these really generic, sites all over the internet that don't have any value just to get that 300 character snippet. And Google hasn't figured it out yet, and it's driving those of us who have better answers. It's driving us crazy because it's not fair that they're getting away with spamming with their 300 characters all across the internet. Where we're getting mentioned where it matters the most. So I think as they continue to get smarter and they update and they find and they treat these feature and answer occurrences or citations in the same way they do with spammy links, that those competitors are going to get penalized and they're going to go away. So it's hard because you're going to have to deal with reporting a lot of competitors for doing this kind of stuff. But it's the nature of the beast. And if you build the right relationships and you get the right domain sending you referral traffic, eventually you're just going to continue to see growth. As long as your content gets better, you're challenging yourself to improve your conversion rates every month, your page load times every month, you're experimenting with AMP, you're creating better visuals and media, and you're distributing those visuals and medias with your featured answers on your social sites and your image sharing and video sharing websites, and you're continuing that pattern and cadence of behavior over month over month over month, and you've got a really good content marketing strategy on questions. I'm telling you, over time, you're going to be just fine, and the competitors are going to fall to the wayside. That's the hard pill to swallow. That we have to deal with these clients that are 6-8 months in trying to rank for keywords like truck accident lawyer nationally, and they get really frustrated because they're on page 2, page 3, and these other guys, they were just doing this shady web 2.0 link farm wheel link broker garbage are still there, but they're not going to be there forever. And when a year goes by and Google's seen your results perform well in terms of click-through rate because your featured snippet looks amazing, and because your user behavior signals, your click and stay, and less pogo sticking happen, you hit that year mark, and it's amazing watching this line where you're kind of not really going anywhere for a year, even though you continue to kind of nurture it, and it's going up a little bit, but not a lot. Once you hit that 1 year with that URL, it's amazing what happens. It's almost like a bell curve if your content truly is better than the competing page. And that competitor will just start getting pushed down and down and down and down. Eventually, they'll get sandboxed or penalized, we hope. But if you're focusing on what you're doing and not on what the competitors are doing, similar to a cross-country race, then it's really about it's about measuring against yourself. Did I do better this month with my page speed? Did I do better with usability? Did I do better with bounce rates and conversion rates? Did I do better with my my click-through rate test on my title and meta description? Did I do better with improving my markup this month than I did last month? Um, that's really, if you focus your time on that and worry a little bit less about what the competitors are doing, I'm telling you, when you hit that 1 year milestone, you'll feel much better about yourself. Guarantee it.
Yeah. Yep.
That was a lot. It was like almost like a rant.
It's funny. I have people ask me, they're like, I've been doing SEO and to this page, and it's been 2 to 3 months, and it's still not ranking. I'm like, dude, I've had pages not rank for like 6 months, and then all of a sudden they're just killing it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't just like take the fact that somebody's outranking you with PBNs as sort of like, okay, well, that's the only thing I can do. I mean, this is what I always try to preach is like, look, when I first started my YouTube channel, I was not able to rank on Google. Not because like I didn't have the knowledge or whatever, the budget. It's because I just knew that it would be easier for me to go start on YouTube, right? Because there wasn't as much, there was more opportunity there, right?
Yep.
So whether you're doing SEO for like maybe less competitive keywords, or you're doing like Facebook marketing, the point is that you don't just stop with, oh, I'm not ranking, so what do I do? You go out and you try to figure out other ways that your competition isn't taking advantage of their marketing, right? And it might mean that you have to go learn other types of marketing, but at the end of the day, SEO is like a small portion of creating a very unique brand that people actually want to interact with and they want to learn from or buy from. And the thing is the more you can put yourself out there and remarket to yourself on multiple platforms, or even just continually hit on the same audience, maybe on the same platform, that's when you're going to really start selling, which at the end of the day is what people actually care about. They care about conversions. They care about making more money than they originally invested. And, I would try to just kind of get away from that mindset of like, I'm not ranking. What do I do? Try to go figure out other ways to win in the meantime.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a start. It's not like, oh, I'm stuck with just doing this. No, it's just where you start. With a site that sells Rolexes that we worked with, we started with used and pre-owned. Even though he wanted to rank for the really highly competitive search terms, we started with used and pre-owned as an entry point because there wasn't as much competition for it. And once we earned trust on our URLs and we started getting traffic and people loved the content and we're converting really well, after about it was almost a year and a half, we started to pull out some of the used and pre-owned terms and started to go after some of those really broader category search terms like Rolex Submariner and Yachtmaster and whatever. And now that client's on the first page for pretty much every model. But it took years of just nurturing and testing and making sure that we're really providing the best result over the competition. And it's frustrating too because sometimes these really crappy pages show up just because they have for 10 years and they've got all that history on their URL, but their page is horrible. And we know ours is better. We know ours just crushes it. It's really frustrating having to get through that waiting period. But when a keyword is highly searched, hundreds of thousands of people a month searching for a specific keyword, you're talking about a lot of click data, a lot of click-through data that the listings that are already on the first page have. So it's going to take time to earn trust. You're gonna see in your Search Console report that your rank is number 8, and you got 11 impressions, and you're like, wait a minute, there's 100,000 people searching. How did I get 11 impressions and be number 8? Well, it's because there's a lot of competition for that search term, and they're dripping you in just a little bit at a time to see how your page performs. So really focus on what people see when they see your result. Really get as much markup in there as you can to show stars and to show events and to show video thumbnails and to show image thumbnails, to show anything that you can do to make your listing stand out. Try a trademark symbol on your name and the title. Do whatever you can do to make your page stand out so that when you do get dripped into that really competitive keyword, your CTR is higher. That'll help expedite things quite a bit. And if you can get some links to the page and focus on your internal linking a little bit to that page, to help boost the result, go for it. I mean, it's you mentioned Screaming Frog before. I love using that to see, some of the linking schema of a site to see if maybe I need to link to this page a little bit more to show Google it's more important. One of the questions I get a lot is from a client that always knows the answer is, hey, I'm really struggling with this page. And I'll say, did you? And he stops me right away and he's like, yes, I added a link to the homepage. He knows his homepage has the most links and passes the most page rank. So if a page is not ranking really well, temporarily move it to the homepage, link to the homepage, from the homepage to that page just for a while, just to get it to rank on the first page so that you can start getting clicked on a little bit more. And once you're at the top and your click-through rate's healthy and your page is still better than the other 9 results, then you might drop the link again. And as long as user behavior kicks in, you should be in good shape.
Nice.
Well, cool. I got to get going. I got all this PPC stuff I'm working on today.
Most definitely, Steve. Hey, can we get everybody to say thank you in the chat for Steve coming on here? Oh, I definitely want to say this. And by the way, a couple people are asking for your Twitter because they came in late. If you want to put that back in there.
Steve, yeah, just SEO Steve. Boom. Yeah, back when I was relevant, I was SEO Steve. Now I'm just I'm a brand slut.
Well,
okay.
we got a bunch of thank yous.
You got it, man. We'll see you soon.
All right, thanks, Steve. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it. See you.
See ya. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm gonna try to get more people on in the future, going over questions you guys might have. I know it's hard to relate to the same person all the time, right? Just me talking. So that's why I like to bring in more people, and Steve's a really, really good person to have come on as well, just because he has so much diverse knowledge when it comes to this stuff. But anyways, if you guys like these type of videos, make sure you leave a like on the video so I know to make more like this. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you head over to the Facebook group, join the Facebook group. It's a free group. You can ask questions. It's called the White Hat SEO Network. And that's pretty much it. So I think I'm going to end it here, guys. I'll be doing some more videos in the near future, going over new tips and strategies around SEO. So make sure you hit the little bell icon so you can actually get notified when I go live and when I create new videos, so you can get that information first before anyone else. All right, guys. Thanks again for stopping by. Until I see y'all next time, happy SEOing.